Hey everybody, man, happy Easter, especially for those of you that are hanging out, maybe alone today. I'm back here in my office out on this little lanai, or this little deck area, and so behind me you can see the Pacific if you look close enough. But anyway, thanks for being here. Great to see you. Happy Easter. Hope things are going great in your life. If they're not, then you came to the right place because we're going to talk about some things that are really challenging in our lives. As a matter of fact, what I wanted to talk to you about today is these 4 dares that God gives each one of us for where we are today. No matter where you are in your life with God, where you are with your circumstances, all those kind of things, God comes right in and goes, I dare you. I dare you, especially on Easter. Kind of 4 dares from God this Easter. So back in 1996, and I'm a huge college basketball fan, they had this thing called March Madness before this year when it was canceled. But back in the day, in 1996, March Madness pitted in the first round the worst team, Western Carolina, worst team, against the best team, which back then was Purdue. And as you know, you haven't really heard much from Purdue since then. My wife, Beth, likes to say, has anything ever good come out of Purdue? And I like to say Drew Brees. Anyway, so back in that day, Western Carolina was winning. As a matter of fact, they were kicking Purdue's butt the whole game. And right at the end, Purdue kind of made their charge. They were up 73-71 with just a few seconds to go. The ball got thrown in for Western Carolina. They had one chance left. Joel Fleming was one of their shooting guards. He grabbed the ball, nobody on him, wide open three-pointer. He took it in, missed, clank. And it was just heartbreaking for Western Carolina. Obviously, no number 1 seed ever knocked off, or no number 16 ever knocked off a number 1. Lost the game. Horrible, right? Horrible. And so they were all talking about things. You know, they interviewed the winning coach, this and that. And then about an hour after the game was over and everybody was kind of going home, over the loudspeaker came this voice, and it said, Joel Fleming, they're waiting for you at the bus. Joel Fleming, where are you? And he had just sat there where no one could see him and just cried, you know. And, you know, when I think about that story, I think, you know, we've all missed shots in our lives, haven't we? You know, every one of us has had that shot in our lives, and you know, we've missed it. Maybe for some of us, we've missed a lot of those kind of shots in our lives. But whether it's divorce, or maybe you had an affair, or maybe you lied one time, or 10 times, or 20 this week to cover your butt. Maybe you've stolen from someone, maybe even your company. Maybe you've had an ungrateful or bitter heart for a lot of your life. You know, you kind of tend to go that way, or maybe that you've one of those people that's held a long time grudge for somebody. Or you screwed up your kids, and you go, I wish I wouldn't have done that, or whatever it's been. Like, every one of us has had these, missed shot or shots that just haunt our lives. And Easter is God's answer to that. Easter is God's answer to that. I mean, can you imagine if we were stuck with those things the rest of our lives? And by the way, some of us have a lot more time to go. And I don't know about you, but I think, wow, more time for mistakes. More time for missed shots. Sweet. No, I don't think like that. I think, dang, man, it could be a whole lot more. And God comes along at Easter and he says, this moment is for those missed shots. I clean the slate for you. I always will. I've seen it all. Easter was your shot because it was God's shot to say, clean slate. Clean slate, clean slate. So on the very first Easter, in history, 2,000 years ago, Jesus kind of came out and said, I want to let you know that God's not a single elimination God. He's not a single elimination God, God of second chances. And I want to say 2-word sound bites to 4 groups of you. 2-word sound bites to 4 groups of you. And I think you're going to find yourself in one of these groups. But there's 4 of them. We're going to walk them through. And the first ones are skeptics. Maybe that's where you are today. You're like, yep, got a lot of questions about this one. Then God says there's another group out there called the scared. Yep, Then he goes, there's another group out there, and they're called the, I'm going to remember what they are. The stuck. There you go. And then the 4th group out there is the stunned. Okay? So you've got the skeptic, the scared, the stuck, and the stunned. 4 groups of people, 2-word sound bites. The first dare, okay, because he gives dares to every one of these people in every one of these groups. The first dare goes like this. Jesus says, I dare you, skeptic, to touch me. I dare you. I dare you to lean in, and I dare you to touch me. I dare you to touch me. This is a really big story here in John chapter 20 where Jesus, resurrected. 11 disciples are all stuck in the room. Judas is already, obviously split. You got 11 of them. They're scared to death, but they're in the room, and there's one of them. We always hear about the one, right? We always hear about this one guy named Thomas, who we call, right, forever, Doubting Thomas, right? Doubting Thomas. And he's sitting there, and they're all running back after they've, seen Christ has been raised, and he's in the room going, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. You guys can say all you want to say, but I don't buy it, so don't waste my time. Don't waste my time. And I mean, maybe that's where you are today. You're just like, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Know anybody like that? Probably have a lot of people like that, right? They just go, not me. Bunch of Thomases out there. And I know, I did for 21 years of my life. And if you're like this, you need to know that Jesus is coming for you because he can accept all your doubts and questions. He has no problem with them. He has no problem with all those doubts. He has no problem with all your questions. He says, I'm right here and it's all good. Let's go. I want you to touch me. I want you to touch me. Okay? And so in this scene, Jesus walks into the room and Thomas is sitting there and Jesus is standing there and they look at each other. And I always like to think of the Western theme, right? It's like the OK Corral, right? I don't know how you read the Bible, but I read it like this. Jesus walks in, Thomas is there. They both, right there. Holsters ready, right? They're going to go at it. And Thomas is over there going, I don't know, knock it off. I don't know who you are. This is not going to be on and on. And Jesus goes, let's go. Touch me. Put your hands in my side. Put them on my wrists. Dig in there. Find out where those nails were. I'm right here. I'll take it all on. Let's go. Let's do it, And so right here in this moment, he goes, you can do that, I want you to. It's an important thing that you come close and ask your questions and all those kind of things. I think it's really important. Back in the late 1900s, I moved to Colorado, and a buddy of mine said, hey, let's go to see a hockey game. I'd never been to a hockey game my entire life. Colorado Avalanche were phenomenal back then. They were in the first round of the playoffs against the Phoenix Coyotes. And I wasn't going to go. I said, I don't really want to go. Hockey, meh. I watch it on TV here and there. It looks like, I guess, fun. He goes, these tickets are on the glass. And I go, these are on the glass? He goes, yeah, on the glass. Front row. We're on the glass. So I asked some friends of mine, I go, is it good to be on the glass? All my friends, it's great to be on the glass. Why is it there? Because you're going to see a whole different kind of ball game when you're on the glass. So I was like, all right, I get there, we get down there. It's a whole new game on the glass. I mean, when you're on the glass, it's like, when those guys are hitting each other, it's not a hug. It's a fight. And they're not quoting like, hey, I love you, buddy. It's words that you wouldn't want to be saying in front of your kids. It's not like anything I'd ever experienced on TV. It was out here on TV. But when I was up against the glass, it was a whole different ball game. And what Jesus is saying to you and to me all the time is, get away from watching on TV, get away from all these other thoughts you have and all these doubts and all your questions, all that, and bring them to me. Get on the glass. I want you to study this out. I want you to do your research. I want you to see why I make the claims I make. I want you to really test how much I love you. I want you to sit down and do your research. I want you to go for it. I don't want you listening to other people and what they're saying and this and that and the other things. As a matter of fact, what I thought I'd do on this one is I'm going to list like 10 books this week. If you really want to get on the glass and find out if Jesus Christ is who he says he was, if he's really historical, if he really did die and raise again, if you really want to know, I'll provide you the research items. I'll give you people that are scientists. I'll show you people that have great concerns at one point in your life. I was agnostic for 21 years until I did my work. But every one of us, Jesus is saying to you, you skeptics, right? Come on. Touch me. touch me. So for some of you today, that's the 2-word sound bite to you. That's the dare. Okay, the dare is shut out all those other voices in your life, and you and God go to the OK Corral, and you do your work. Okay, that's how you can be an honest person in your life when it comes to God. Well, there's a second group of people, and these were the scared people. So after the resurrection, you see a bunch of folks, and it's people that have been close to Jesus, and there's all these emotions going on during this time. You know what the number one emotion was for everybody that had followed Christ? Fear. Like by far. Like mega fear had been going on. And people are bumping in to Jesus. It says the 2 women, right, that saw him, that plowed into him. It said they had 2 major emotions going on. They had joy, it was kind of emotion, but the way bigger emotion was fear. This like, it wasn't the kind of fear where you go, oh, I'm a little scared. It's like this heart-pounding terror. Heart-pounding terror. And my guess is some of you right now are having heart-pounding terror in your life. You know, God comes right up and into that. Jesus walks right up and into that. When you think about it for these folks, right? Many of those people that Jesus had been with all that time had blown him off. We always talk about 2 people in the scriptures that really blew Jesus off. It was Peter the denier, right? Sounds like WWE guys. Peter the denier and Judas the betrayer. Peter the denier and Judas the betrayer. We always go, oh, those 2, oh my gosh. But if you do a study of it, they're all out. They didn't buy the resurrection thing. They never heard that. All they had going on at that point was, okay, you know, we thought some other things were going to happen. They didn't happen the way we thought they were. Jesus is a hoax. We're out. But they're really fearful because when your leader gets brought to an execution, you don't want to be on his team. You're not like, oh yeah, like no one's waving the foam finger anymore. Like Jesus, number 1, you know. No, none of that's going on. It's kind of, you know, all the trophies got returned. All the Jesus swag, it's all gone. It's like down in the basement gathering dust with all those old Israeli yearbooks. They're all down there blowing dust. Poof. Why? Because every one of them was like, wrong team. So you think about it. They're all freaked out. They might get killed by the Roman cops. Then you got Jesus showing up. They're like, whoa, Halloween. Is it Halloween? I don't know. Who is that guy, right? Grim Reaper. Oh my gosh, right? They're freaking out about that. So you got that thing going on. I mean, all the way through this whole thing, it's like fear, fear, fear. No matter what's going on, there's fear popping up. It was the major emotion, you know? It was a major emotion. And all of a sudden, Jesus comes into that. First 2 words, here we go, right? Fear not. That's his dare for you people out there that are all scared, because we all are. It's fear not. Touch me to the skeptic, fear not to the scared. And if I were to wager a bet right now, I'd say that the primary emotion in most of our lives, especially right now during this crisis, is fear. I mean, if you're not scared financially, tell me what pill you're taking. Like, serious. My gosh, if you're not scared financially right now, some of you right now are going, yeah, I'm freaked out. Some of us have experienced, like somebody in our family has experienced death. Death. And we're going, oh my gosh, what are we going to do with that? I think every one of us has been touched 5 degrees of somebody dying over this virus. A lot of college students out there, you know, they're going, how am I going to work here? I've worked all this time to finally graduate. And now that I'm there, it's like not happening, you know? What am I going to do with that? So there's all that fear around that whole thing, you know? So you've got people going broke. You've got people who have experienced this death thing up close and personal. You've got folks that just don't know what's going to be happening, all because of this wicked virus. And if you have Christ in your life, okay, this is a major, major shift here. If you have Christ in your life, all of this that's been going on takes on a whole new meaning and a whole new mindset. It takes on whole new meaning and whole new mindset. And because of the power of the resurrection of Christ, all of this goes from catastrophic circumstances to what the Apostle Paul calls in 2 Corinthians 4:17. He says, to a light and momentary affliction, because eternity is a super long line, and right now we're just living on this really small dot. And he says, so all of this eternity peace and the resurrection, the power of God and the heart of God, this places all that's going on right now in a whole new kind of meaning and mindset. Goes from this catastrophe to how can we help people? Goes from chaos to, okay, God, what do you want to do in my life right now to shift some things around? It goes from all these other crazy kind of things that we can get into. I mean, all you got to do is watch the news for an hour, and believe you me, you'll get on a million fear rabbit trails. You can do it. But right now, for some of us, and I know I'm scared too, but there's a piece of me, big piece, bigger than 50%, that's saying, God, show me who you want me to serve. Show me who you want me to love. Don't let me get caught up in all this stuff that's going on around my fears, because I can. By your power, because of the resurrection, do something here. Change my mindset, give it meaning, and let's roll. Let's roll. It's a whole new way to do life when that happens. And so, some Easter encouragement here for those of you that are just freaked out. Jesus says those two words, I dare you to fear not. Come close to me. Really, come close, he says. You'll find me, he says, if you seek me with all your heart. So come on. I mean, he has no problem with people that are skeptics. No problem. Bring your doubts and your questions. And if you're just absolutely hair on fire scared right now, he goes, fear not. Easter makes for both of those dares. Makes for both of those dares, So fear doesn't have to control you anymore. That's the bottom line. It'll still be there, but it doesn't control you. It doesn't take over. As we like to say, it doesn't drive the bus. It's on the bus back there, but it's not driving the bus. And you can say no. And you bring Christ into that with you, and you're never alone, he says, and you move forward in that. So God dares the skeptic, then he dares the scared, and then he comes along with a third dare. And these are the people that are stuck. People that are stuck. And the two words that he says here are, follow me. Follow me. If you're stuck, he'd say, get off the dime and follow me. And my guess is there's a group of us this Easter that have God kind of in our lives. You do this. God's in my life, but I'm really not there yet to say, here's all of me. Like, God, I don't know if you do this. I'll read the Bible, but I like to rip out quite a few pages of it as I do. I go, okay, this I'll take for my life, but this over here, that's for some certain other kind of people. So right now I've kind of got that area. And so really, if people say, Gil, show me your Bible, mine's about 3 pages long. This is what I'm really buying into. And over here, the things I really struggle with, here's what I think. I think, God, I've got a better plan than you do. God, I've got it. I really do. I'm good. So thanks for that. I'll give you this and this and this, but over here, I'm not really sure. And I'm telling you, this is the kind of culture we live in, which is a pick and choose. It's a spiritual smorgasbord of the Bible. Well, I'm going to do this one, but not this one. And my guess is right now, there's a lot of you this Easter that are kind of like, well, God, in 2019, in the first part of 2020, I kind of took some things back. And I'm stuck. Don't know what to do. Should I get married or not? Should we have kids or not? Should I take that new job or not? Should I move or not? I mean, you probably got 20 questions all of us could be sitting here asking right now. And my guess is some of them you're giving to God and some of them you're like, no way. I'm not. I'm going to hold on to this one. So Jesus comes along, right? And he bumps in, right after the resurrection, he bumps into this guy, his friend Peter. And it's in John 21, verses 21 and 22. So if you want to go there at some point, you can. And check it out. And Peter's sitting there, and Peter's got a lot going on in his life. And there's two things that are keeping Peter stuck. First thing is some stuff he did in his past, right? He was a denier, as we all know, Peter the denier. Feeling really guilty about that. And then he's kind of wondering about his future. And Jesus says to him in this passage, he goes, well, your future is not going to be awesome in some ways. It's going to be awesome in some ways, but there's going to come a point in time in your life where it's going to be really, really hard. And he kind of lays it out for Peter how that's going to look for him. And it's not great. So Peter does what we all do, right? He looks over at John, his buddy, and he goes, what about him? What's going to happen in his life? Because that's what I do too. It's like, well, if I get that, What's he getting in his cookie jar? What's his cookie jar going to look like? I'm always looking at people's cookie jars because I like cookies. But all I have to say is I'm looking around and I'm going, hey, I want to know you and him. And Jesus always keeps bringing it back and going, don't worry about them. That's what he says to Peter here. He goes, stop comparing your future. I've got you. I've got you. I've forgiven your past, right? That's done and done. I've forgiven you. You know, matter of fact, when Jesus forgives, it's all this. The last words were, the debt is paid. And he still looks at him and he goes, come on, buddy. I've got you, you know, I've got you. And then he says to Peter, don't sweat your future out. I got that too. See, I think this. I think that when it comes to where we get stuck in life with God is that we're not really going to forget our past. We don't think that God can really take care of all those things that I've done wrong. And then I think that we're just freaked out about the future. And those are the two things that keep us stuck. So I want to say this, right? When I was a pastor and doing service and all this kind of stuff, people would come up to me afterwards and they'd go, man, Gil, great job. Great job. But then they'd say this, but you don't know what I've done. But you don't know. You just don't know what I've done. I'd hear it all the time, all the time. I don't think God could ever forgive me, on and on and on. I'm like, you're like a sinning narcissist. Like, your whole deal is you're the number one sinner now, right? I'd always think to myself, really you, but God couldn't forgive you. Kind of like that on the cross. Jesus doesn't say, the debt has been paid in full. Jesus goes, the debt has been paid in full. Well, wait a minute, except for old Charlie. My God, that guy. Woo! Oh my God, the things he's going to be. Let's just say, Charlie, what a numbnuts. He's out. Jesus never says, good old Charlie, or good old Fred, or good old Jenny, or good old you. He says the debt's been paid in full, past, present, and future, every single crappy decision we've ever made. And he knew you were going to do it anyway because he sees everything, past, present, and future. It's kind of like that. All that. Forgiven. So, if you want to get on an ego trip about how all your sins have been just crazy, man, you don't know what I've done. We're not all going to sit here and throw down about that. You don't know what I've done. I just know this. Jesus said it's done. It's over. He covered it. You ain't that special. Your mistakes aren't that special. Matter of fact, you and a million other people have made those mistakes. You and a million of them have made those mistakes. So, God's got them, okay? So I want to throw that out there. In your past right now, let it be in your past. Just say, God, forgive me. Let's go. Let's go. And then God says on this one, right, for those of you having a hard time entrusting your future to him, all right, there are two pieces of your future in the scriptures, all right? I want to just map out what God says. There's the you part and there's the God part. The you part goes like this. All the things you're in control of about your future. God says in Colossians 3 and all over the scriptures, work hard, give it all you got, be in life, hit it, be a hardworking, highly skilled person, and whatever I've called you to be, I want you to go for it and all those things. That's what you're in control of. You can just get to it, right? And then there's the God part. That's the stuff that's not in your control. There's a mysterious part of this. And Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him. Acknowledge God, and he will make your path straight. The first part's on you. To bust your hump. To study, to go for it, to dig in, to give it all you got. Literally, it means from your guts, from the heart, man. You live life, all of you in there, man, get going. And the second part of that is then, while you're then trusting God to do what only he can do, and that's make your path straight. I love when people go, well, Gil, I don't know. What if I make a bad decision and my future gets all mucked up? I go, really? Again, God, you think you're that special? Yeah, you're right. God's up there going, oh my God, don't go left. Ah! And then everybody freaks out in heaven. Oh, heaven, they're all sobbing up there for that left turn you took. God can take every one of your decisions that you make and make your path straight from that. Trust him. Go for it. He'll make it right. Believe you me. He'll straighten it out if he needs to. And again, I'm going to go back to this, okay? You're not that all powerful, special in this whole thing. Every one of us has this. Just trust God and go. Do the part you're in control of. Give to the part God's in control of. And I'll tell you, man, get ready. God's going to do some really, really great things in this. I mean that. He's got you. He's got all of you in this. And all the mistakes of your past and all the unknowing about your future. Jesus comes to you, this group of people that is so stuck right now. And he's going, follow me. Follow me. Okay? Fourth there, and we'll stop here. Fourth there. This is to the stunned. This is to the stunned. In other words, maybe you're listening to this and you're like, well, I used to be a skeptic. God brought the heat. I touched him and he showed me who he was. Or maybe you're on your end going, I was scared at one point, like really freaked out, and God brought me amazing peace. I was stunned by it. Or maybe for you, it's like I was stuck once, but I'm not stuck anymore. I'm flying, and God just brought amazing things to me in that stuckness that really opened up a great future as you forgave my past. I mean, some of us maybe listen to this Easter, and really you're kind of hitting on all cylinders in these. And I think God would say this to you then. Jesus would say this to you. He does this in Acts 1, verse 8. He gathers the church together after the resurrection. There's been the biggest done time in history. The death and resurrection of Christ. You got 120 of your first, they didn't call them Christians back then. They were people of the way. And they were up in this loft. And they're all together and they're scared to death. And Jesus shows up and he begins to just anoint them and put a flame over every one of their heads for a purpose they have and all these kind of things. And then he uses these two words for them. He gives them this there. He goes, you know all that you've just experienced? They go, yeah. He goes, go tell. Go tell. Tell your story. Go tell your story. Go let people know about that. I mean, I've heard this lately, and every now and then somebody will go, oh, Gil, that's all great. You and your imaginary friend, And I want to say this, okay? To those of you that are like, oh, that imaginary friend. Okay, I'm going to say this, right? I wish. I mean, in a way, right? I wish. Then it would be like, oh, yeah, God's just all this kind of stuff. Here's the thing, I can't say that. I can't say that. Whenever I've been absolutely freaked out, he's shown up. He's just shown up. Remember once I really felt like I was on my deathbed back in the day, and I was like, God, please stop this pain. And you know what? He stopped it. I mean, it literally, organically stopped it. I wish that was an imaginary friend. I wish that my whole entire life that has been absolutely made brand new, and God's given me all these amazing gifts, all these great things. I wish I could go, well, that was an imaginary friend, but I can't. In John chapter 9, this blind guy gets made that he could see, right? Jesus heals his sight. And then he gets put on the spot by all these theologians. And he goes, well, what? And he quote the verses. And the guy's like, oh, he's freaking out. And he goes, look, guys, I don't know all the fights that you want to have over this imaginary friend that you think I have. But once I was blind and now I see. So deal with that. Throws down. There it is. Mic drop. Jesus is alive and well. And he's doing great things. And so when he starts to do those in your life, make sure you tell some people. You don't have to don't be weird, okay? Don't be weird. I know some of you would be, just be careful. Be solid in that. And just be ready to be able to tell the story. That's what Peter says in 1 Peter 3:15. He goes, when people want to know about this Jesus in your life, just be ready to be able to explain the hope that is now within you, this hope that he gives. He gives hope. So talk about that. Go and tell. There's this song that came out a while back. It's a worship song, and it gives me the chills every time I sing it or listen to it. And it goes like this. Let the poor man say, I am rich in him. Let the blind man say, I can see in him. Let the lost man say, I am found in him. Let the river flow. Let the river flow. The poor is rich in him. The blind can see in him. The lost is found in him. And then it just goes from there. And he goes, let that river flow. Just let it flow. So the question is, okay, which one of these groups are you in this Easter? skeptic, the scared, the stuck and the stunned. Which one? And maybe some of you are like, oh, a lot of them. That's okay too. Jesus can handle all of that. See, when he died and then rose again, he rose for all of us out there who were messed up, who didn't know which way to turn. We thought it was a single elimination tournament. We missed the shot. And Jesus just looked at every one of us and went, the resurrection answers all of that. So if you're a skeptic, he'd say, get on the glass. Get on the glass, find out, do your research, study this out. Me and you, no other voices. You get in here and you go, and let's you and I do the OK Corral together. Let's do it. If you're scared, you go, look, I get it. Fear not, though. I'm with you. He really is. You're never alone. Say that all the time. You're just never alone. Emmanuel, right? God with us. That's been forever, and it's forever to go. And some of you are just stuck today. No, seriously, I mean this when I say this. I know you're probably scared and stuck, or stuck, and that's why you're scared. I'm going to pray for you that you let go of the trapeze, that you know that it's so comfortable here, and you let it go before you see the next trapeze coming, and you trust God to fill in that gap. Because he will. I know you don't see that next trapeze coming, but God says I do, and I've got it. You go for it, I'll show up. Your part, his part. And for all of us, okay? I say this all the time, but let's build up our stories and let's tell them to a world that is dying to find spiritual meaning in a world that just seems so crazy, especially right now. So I'm going to pray for us. I always say these three things, but Beth and I are kind of kicking off this ministry. We're going to be speaking, and we just did a retreat out in Denver. We're going to do another one coming up in Prescott, Arizona here this fall in October. But like and subscribe. We're on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to be speaking every week. Next week, I started a brand new series right here. It's called The 4 Gifts That God Gives You when you're just in a place where you so desperately want to grow and you're not. So God gives you 4 gifts, and I'm going to walk through all 4 of those with you. And so like and subscribe. Share with a friend who needs this. Seriously, share with a friend. Gil, myself and Beth, we have a Facebook page, and go to Gil and Beth and like it and follow along. And then look for our upcoming website that's coming out in the next week or so. So gilandbeth.com. We're gonna be hitting it. So anyway, love you lots. Let me pray for us. Father, don't let us take one more breath without really leaning in to your power through your Son, Jesus Christ. Lord, I know a lot of us here, just whether we're skeptics or we're stuck or we're scared or we're stunned, whatever, we need you. Bottom line is we just need you. We need you to show up. We need to show up big. So give us as many stories as we can have. Give us hearts of love for our neighbors and the people that are in our lives. Lord, help us see past our grudges and all these things that have kind of kept us locked down. Help unlock those things, and Jesus, with you, let us soar. Thanks for dying, and thanks for raising from the dead. Thanks for a day like today that we can just see you and lift you up and watch you move. In your name we pray. Amen. Thanks, everybody. See you next Friday. All right. Bye-bye.